Well, this is 3-2, Introduction to Exponents and Radicals. Today we're going to talk about exponents and roots. And yeah, so we've touched a bit about on this subject before. However, we haven't formally introduced it in this course yet. So that's what we're going to do today. So first of all, what are exponents? So exponents are written as a superscript, like a number on top to like a small number on the top. So if you've seen, for example, x squared, you see that little 2 on the top, that represents the exponent. Okay, so what do exponents mean? Exponents are basically how many times the number is multiplied by itself. So if you think of multiplication, for example, 2 times 5, this is basically 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. That's multiplication, right? It's the number 2 added up 5 times. Is very similar to uh, exponents. So, for example, 2 to the fifth, that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you can think of exponents as multiplication, but for multiplication. So multiplication, uh, basically a lot of addition. Exponents is a lot of multiplication. So the exponent is 5, which means that the base, this is the base, 2 is multiplied 5 times. So I want you to write down all of the perfect squares. So I want you to, for example, do 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, and that would be equal to 1, 4, 9. I want you to have to write all of your perfect squares in your notebook up to preferably 30, but you can do I guess 20 if you want, but preferably 30 for future reference. Also, do your cubes. You can search up your cubes and your squares online. 1 cubed is 1, 2 cubed is 8, 3 cubed is 27, right? All the way down to 30 cubed if you can. Otherwise, it's fine. But the main thing is your squares up to 30, hopefully. That way you don't need a calculator, which I mean, you can if you want, but preferably don't use a calculator because this course is just more of a theory rather than actual practice. Okay, great. So let's do an example. 3 squared, what does that equal to? I want you to pause the video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, so this is pretty simple, right? This is the base, 3, and it's multiplied twice. So by itself, multiply by itself twice. 3 times 3, we know that's 9. So 3 squared is 9. What about 4 cubed? What does that equal to? This might take a bit longer, so I encourage you to pause the video. Okay, so assuming that you've done the question already, let's do this together. So first of all, the base is 4, and it's multiplied by itself 3 times. That equals 64, right? 4 times 4, that's 16 times 4. That's 8 times 8, right? That's 64. Okay, what about x to the third? Can you write that out? Well, that's equal to x times x times x. That's what x to the third means. And we've done this in our geometry unit as well. Radius squared, that's r times r. Radius cubed, that's r times r times r. Right. Okay, so now we're going to talk a bit about some other nuances with positive exponents. So any number, for example, we'll do 3 to the 0th power is equal to 1. So write this in your notebooks. X to the 0th is 1. So always remember any number to the zeroth power is 1. So you can think of it as, for example, 3 squared, or example, that's 1 times 3 times 3. So there's an invisible 1 here. So if there were zero threes, there's no threes anymore. All we're left with is 1. So that's how we get that. So another thing is that, for example, 3 to the first power, that's equal to 3. 1 times, there's only one 3. 1 times 3, that's 3. So I encourage you to write this in your notes. X to the first power is equal to x. So any number to the first power is itself. So 100 to the first power is 100, and -5 in parentheses, like that, to the first power is -5. We will at some point learn about nuances with negative numbers, but probably won't be in this course. Okay, now you know that, we'll turn our attention to radicals. So you might have seen this before. This is called the square root symbol. And you might have seen this before. This is the cube root symbol. They're pretty similar. This is all that you're going to need to know for this course. If there's nothing here, then assume that it means 2. If there is something here, that's the power. So, for example, the square root of 49, basically square root is just asking what number, when squared, equals 49. So we should know that 7 squared is 49. So the square root of 49 is 7. Let's do another example. Square root of 81. What is the square root of 81? Pause the video and see if you can find it. Great, we know that 9 squared is 81. So the square root of 81 is 9. Okay, here's another thing. Say we have 5 squared inside our radical sign. What do you think that is equal to? Well, this is what's inside of a radical, and we want to know what number, when inside our radical, squared equals the number inside, so 5 squared. So what squared equals 5 squared? Well, that's obviously 5. 5 squared equals 5 squared. So if you see this question on the homework, see something similar like that, something squared, the square root of something squared, it's just the number. So in this case, it's 5. We'll learn a bit more about why this is in future courses that touch about other stuff. We did learn about this last year if you were in that class. Okay, so I think that's all there is for this class. If you have any questions, ask, and the homework is in Google Classroom. Will be due on Friday. And yeah, enjoy.